Hey guys, Pro1701 here, and today on It's Armageddon, we're going to be looking at stories from the Fifth Doctor. Now, this has been a series we've been doing. It was suggested by one of my fellow Doctor Who YouTubers, Paul. He had left a comment saying he wanted me to do a video kind of talking about the top 5 stories I would say from each Doctor if Armageddon was happening. Because that, this It's Armageddon is kind of a range I do now. Because I like it because it's not a top 5 list or a best 5 list or even a top 5 favorite list. It's the top 5 you would save if you could only save 5 for the rest of history, for posterity. Which 5 would you pick? Because I do think that's a different type of list. And today we are looking at the 5th Doctor, Peter Davison. And we're going to start off with Castrovalva. Part of this is subjective because I do love Castrovalva a lot. But I do think it's a good first episode, especially because at the beginning of it we do get the regeneration, and Logopolis didn't make my 4th Doctor list, so we have that regeneration from the 4th to the 5th Doctor, because that is at the beginning again of Castrovalva. But I just like the story. It's nice seeing Peter running around in Tom's outfit. It's nice seeing him acclimate to being the Doctor, especially the first couple episodes when we see him struggling with the regeneration. That's really neat. I like Castrovalva itself. I like the idea behind it. I like that it's a trap. Everything going on there. I especially love the updated effects because some of the ideas it has, the original special effects couldn't quite pull off. But I think the updated effects, while still not perfect, pull them off better because it does have some really good ideas going on in it. I like when the Doctor is pointing out to the villagers the problem, when that one villager is talking about how you can see the one house from here, here, and here, and then he realizes that it doesn't make sense for that. I love that scene. I love the reveal of the Master because I didn't see that coming. The first time I watched the story, I'd seen Logopolis as a kid, and I think I'd seen Keeper as a kid, but I know I'd seen Logopolis because I remembered the regeneration from a kid, but I did not see Castrovalva as a child. I saw it when the New Beginnings DVD set came out, so mid-2000s, late 2005, 2006, 2007, up in that area. And even in my 20s, I did not realize that that one character was actually the Master. He was so well done up in disguise and the way Anthony was playing the role. Had me fooled. Didn't even realize it until he's revealed at the end, and I was like, holy crap, I didn't even see that coming. So I like a story like that that can surprise me. I don't see the end result coming. I really enjoyed it. Plus, it's not nice seeing Peter run around without that stick of celery on him for most of the story. Number 2 is Caves. I mean, yeah, you have to do Caves. I mean, Caves is such a good story. Let me be clear. I do think Caves is overrated. Let me also be clear that overrated doesn't mean bad. Overrated means overrated. I think Caves is a masterpiece of a story. It's fantastic. It's amazing. I think it's Peter Davison's best story. Objectively, I think it's probably the best story to come out of the 80s. What I mean by is overrated is I don't think it's the best Doctor Who story of all time. I've seen polls and lists where it's gotten #1. I don't think it's the best classic Doctor Who story. I don't think it's the best Doctor Who story, period. I don't think it's in the top 10. Top 25. I'd put it in the top 25. I wouldn't put it in the top 10, top 15. Maybe top 20. But I don't think it's better than Genesis. I don't think it's better than Ark in Space. I certainly don't think it's better than City of Death. I don't even think it's better than the special edition of Day of the Daleks. I don't think it's better than Power of the Daleks. I don't think it's better than Dalek. I don't think it's better than Blink. I do think there are stories better. And I was actually talking with somebody about this just the other day in the comments because they had left a link to their list and they had Caves at #1. And to be fair, Caves has made #1 on a lot of lists. I know when Josh Snares did his poll voting on, where everybody could go vote on it, Caves was #1 on that list. So I'm not trying to say that objectively people are wrong. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying subjectively, I personally think it's a little overrated while still being a masterpiece. Let me have that clear. But you have to have Caves. If you're doing a Peter Davison list of stories, of 5th Doctor stories you're going to save, you have to have Caves. It's amazing. It's gripping. It really is just kind of an interesting scenario you don't really see in Doctor Who because there's no real side for him to take. All the sides are awful people. There's no good side for the Doctor to join. Nobody is there to help him. It's literally just a situation where even if he hadn't arrived, everything probably would have played out the same. And literally him arriving didn't help anything. All he did was arrive, realize things were bad, realize they were poisoned, and they needed to get the heck out of there. Most of the story is them trying to find a cure and getting the hell out of there. That's the story, because everybody on all the other sides is out to get them. They're terrible, terrible people. They all have their own selfish agendas. And you don't see that a lot in Doctor Who, where just everybody's bad, you know? So it's just really unique in that. And I think the story, aside from that one monster design not being the best, is pulled off really, really well. That one character, Jack or whatever his name is, the Phantom of the Opera guy, really well acted. The guy playing him does a really good job with him and makes him very creepy, even especially now. He comes across as even more creepy, the way he kind of lusts for Perry, especially in this day and age, is even more creepy now, I think, than then. And he is kind of a tragic figure. You can understand his rage, but at the same time, he's creepy. So you gotta have caves. You gotta have caves. Great acting by Peter Davison, by the way. Great acting. Number 3 on the list is Sword of Doomsday. I like this one a lot. It is more of a subjective pick, I have to admit, but I do think it's a good story. I love everything going on with the people who have been saved and converted into androids. I like the one guy who's kind of the head of the spaceship. I forget his name. I like him. I think he's acted really well. I like his interactions with the Doctor. And plus, I just found the story really, really enjoyable. I really liked it. Keeping in mind, I haven't seen all of the 5th Doctor stories, so if there's a couple of them on here, you're like, why isn't that on there? It might be one I haven't seen. Number 4 is the 5 Doctors. I love the 5 Doctors. I think you would include it not only because it's a really good story, but you also would get to see more of Troughton, more of the 1st Doctor, even if it's not Hartnell, and more of Pertwee. And personally, I love Richard Hurndall as the 1st Doctor. He was my first Doctor, because the first story I think I saw with the 1st Doctor was the 5 Doctors. So Richard Hurndall was my kind of introduction to the 1st Doctor. And plus, I like how the other Doctors treat him with reverence here, like they're supposed to. We get that brief clip with Tom Baker, which at the time I saw it as a kid, I didn't know much about Shada and what was going, I didn't know anything about Shada. So I just kind of figured maybe he could only come back to film a brief clip for the special. It's nice that they found a way to utilize that Shada footage to have him in the story a little. Not much, but a little, just to have him there. Especially for us over here in the States, because that's the Doctor we were really familiar with. It's the one we saw the most. And it's a good story. We have the Master in it, and we have the Cybermen in it. It's nice seeing all of them interact. I love everything going on with Barusa, because that whole thing with Barusa is really shocking. I think a lot of the younger fans who watch the modern series, and they watch kind of the cliff notes of the classic Who. They'll watch the kind of the famous stories, like Genesis of the Daleks, An Unearthly Child, 3 Doctors, 5 Doctors, maybe Curse of Fenric. The kind of the cliff note big hitters. They don't go through and watch the whole show. They just watch the big ones, the ones they hear everybody talk about, City of Death. And when you do that, the thing with Barusa is not so shocking. But if you've been following all of the stories with him in it, because he's in 4 or 5 stories, him having that heel turn is a big shock and a big surprise. Because he's in The Deadly Assassin, he's in The Invasion of Time, and he's in Arc of Infinity, and I feel like I'm forgetting one more. I feel like there's one I'm forgetting. I know he's in those 3. And, he's kind of a good guy. He's a good Time Lord. He's there to help. Even if sometimes the Doctor frustrates him a bit, like in the Invasion of Time. He's a good person. And then, in 5 Doctors, you really kind of see that sometimes, even with the best intentions, people kind of go down a dark path, the road to hell paved with good intentions, die a hero, live long enough to become the villain, all that kind of stuff. You can understand why he was doing the things he was doing and why he thought he was doing it for the better good. But ultimately, how that turned him down a not so great path. And so that really is a nice little twist that for people who are familiar with who he is as a character, you can go, oh my God, wow, be like Robin turning on Batman or something. Or Bruce Wayne Batman turning on Terry McGinnis Batman, something like that. And for 5th place, this was a tricky one. I so wanted to say Arc of Infinity because I do love Arc of Infinity. But I realized that would be way too subjective and that wouldn't be fair. I ended up going with Enlightenment. I like Enlightenment a lot. My only issue is if I had to pick a version, I don't know which one to pick because the original version, I don't care as much for the ship effects. The special edition, I love the ship effects, but I hate that it's in that widescreen, so they crop part of the picture out. I don't know why they did that. I'd much prefer it in its original 4:3 aspect ratio when it doesn't crop anything out. And I'm trying to remember, it's been so long since I watched it, I'm thinking the special edition might have been done in a movie format instead of separate episodes. I don't remember if that's right or not. If it is in that movie format, I'd be annoyed. I much prefer, kind of like how they did Shada in that movie format. I don't like it. I much prefer it to be broken up into its, 4 episode or 6 episode or whatever it was format. I think for Enlightenment it was 4. So I would rather get like the special edition of Enlightenment with the actual live action scenes put back in their 4:3 aspect ratio like they're supposed to be, divided up into their 4 episode sections. That's what I would want in an ideal world. But I guess if I had to pick, I'd still just take the widescreen version because I do like the special effects for the ships. So that has been my list for the 5 5th Doctor stories, I would say. Castrovalva, Caves of Androzani, 4 to Doomsday, 5 Doctors, and Enlightenment. Comment down below. Let me know what you think of my choices. And I'd like to know the 5 you would pick and why you would pick the 5 you would pick. Other things to do, click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications so you never miss out on a new video. I do have a Patreon as well. If you would like to contribute to that, there is a link to that down below in the description. My entry-level tier is only $2 a month, so for $2 a month you can help steer the direction of a channel a bit. Most importantly though, stay safe out there, and thank you for watching.